Yeah, we're connected.
Warming up. Warming up.
So yeah, for people not watching this live in the future, this is when we try to get people to join by sending the link to our friends and such. What is this? There's a
It's a new
microphone
one.
icon in the Facebook voice posts, I guess.
Maybe. Or maybe they realize everyone on TikTok's doing that singing thing, so maybe now they're allowing people to sing with them.
Yes, we are doing a Star Wars Unlock.
You're sharing. Set. You're sharing. Set. Add photo present. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yep, they posted. I'm sure I'm those times that I'm clicking all the way through, like which tab am I looking for? Then it's a completely different window. So yay. Restream is super like spamming me with these things. Look, how do I dismiss this? This is so annoying. It's all these little ads like, hey, you can take this out if you upgrade to Pro. Hey, you can record
Hmm.
this stream if you upgrade to Pro. And like, I have considered upgrading to Pro, but this is not going to help me. Mondays are e-board game e-days. I have not done my dailies. That should be fun.
Eyes are so messed up.
My
So this pair of glasses works best when I'm driving.
okay, that's not your reading pair.
No, still the lower part. That's the reading
So
pair.
why aren't you using your reading pair?
Because I wanted to try to rest my eyes with the one that goes further, but the screens are still not too far, not far enough. So I still have to use the reading glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I miss when I don't need glasses.
Well, if you could turn back time. While waiting for people to join, I'm watching videos of my nephew. Dinosaurs.
We'll be starting in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm wondering if we should like look for open source music that we could play as background music or house music while waiting.
Boom, pitch, boom,
Hey Mitch.
boom, boom. There, that's right. Give you a backbeat.
Yeah, my nose is acting up.
Because it's the start of the show.
Yeah.
And she has to choose the most inopportune moment. Oh my gosh, Mitch! I finally made an order from the local Lego certified store, so I have the Everyone is Awesome set now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There, here. What is it?
I ordered it like on Friday night. Saturday morning, and it arrived today. So it's like that was quite fast.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
I guess we'll start in a minute.
Yeah.
The lights feel especially bright today.
They do, but we're also in lighter shirts. I feel that
Mhm.
always plays a thing. And then if you can, then I can. I super blur out though.
The camera really zooms. Well, not zooms, but focuses.
Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna make an episode out of it. It's a very simple build, but I do have a building date with Nico because he has the same set, so we might build it together. That's the plan.
I'm liking. Just looking at our past ones, you can see how dark it was.
Yeah.
So,
At least we're more lit.
I'm happy.
We're still a little light, pun intended, but it works out. All right, I guess we're going to roll the intro, and we'll be right back.
Oh yeah! Really great!
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate. At least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. It's a Monday, so it's a board game topic, or at least a gaming topic. And today, if our shirts have not given it away, we're talking about Star Wars Unlock.
Okay, and I guess we have to do a brief refresher on what Unlock is before we dive into the Star Wars version. So, if you watched our far away last year episode of escape room experiences, we talked about different tabletop games that tried to capture the escape room experience, but in a board game. Um, and was this as much as we definitely love, like, there's a particular love we have for the Exit the Room series because they're really like use once, you may destroy components, you may fold things, you really have to stretch the limits of your creativity. And then Unlock, when we first tried it, I admittedly we were a little underwhelmed by that series because the puzzles were very number driven because it always ties to an app, and then ultimately the gate mechanism are codes, and they're always 4-digit codes, and once you figure out the 4-digit code, you'll move forward to the next part of the story.
Why is Duck missing?
Oh, from your clock sounds? Oh no.
Bulletin, Betty Seaside, Chime, Circuit, Constellation, Cosmic Crystals, Hillside. Where'd Duck go?
I don't know. Blame Apple.
Classic. There.
Okay, he found his duck. All right. So that's Unlock, sort of. And then, admittedly, over time, Unlock got better.
Yes.
And if there's a point where they introduce like version 2.0 or 3.0 of the rules, because it always relies on an app, then I think they got really creative once they introduced the concept of machines in the game. So machine puzzles are essentially mini video games that tie into the app. Okay, as you show the app.
I'm worried we might get a strike, so
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
kill the audio.
But then later you have to turn it back up or you won't hear your duck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
for Star Wars Unlock, they have their own app separate from the main Unlock app. In principle, it is the same game. But at the same time, it feels different, and that's kind of funny. And the fact that there's a dedicated app opens the door for more expansions in this line. Now, if you're unfamiliar also with like how Unlock is sold, this is actually 3 separate adventures in one. Previously, when Unlock was first released, they used to come in these small boxes, or they're all inside.
Yeah.
They come in these small, narrow boxes, which was each of the individual cases. But then they always had like a theme, like epic tales or mythic tales and the like. So
mystery adventure. So this one,
So this one follows the current release mechanism style, which is all three adventures in the theme in a nicer big box. But this one, you're specifically playing adventures in the Star Wars universe, and which I thought was quite clever was that they divided them thematically um, into Star Wars roles. So you have a rebel mission on Hoth, you have a smuggler mission, and you have a empire mission. So in that way, you kind of get to portray or explore being different aspects, being part of different factions in the Star Wars universe.
now the box, of course, has other things that are present, and the basic instruction is always do not look at them too much until you are told to do so. But in case you're wondering about whether this or not would be a game that you would be interested in, know that they always, almost always, come.
They typically do.
Yeah, they almost always come with a tutorial, which is a smaller set of cards that teach you the basics of how the game is played. The tutorial still needs the use of the app, but it does help prepare you for what is to come. The contents are nicely mapped out in this case. Sorry about the light washing everything out, but you have each adventure having their own spot with the tutorial having a separate location.
And this is the layout of all the new like 3-in-1 unlock adventures. If you buy previously, if you buy the individual ones, each of them will include the tutorial set.
Yes.
And you just accumulate more tutorial sets.
So it's actually nice that since they moved to these bigger boxes, we feel there's less wasted.
Yes.
You need less shelf space because now everything you have three things in one box rather than three separate boxes to worry about. There's only one manual to worry about for each time you buy a set of three rather than three separate manuals. Not to mention if there are language differences.
So the manual will really just outline again like how the basics of the game go, and this is summarized in the card types on the back. So in the Star Wars set does actually introduce something new slightly, but not in like the main puzzle solving one. So you still have the basics. You have red cards and blue cards that they're added together. You have green machine cards,
which use the app.
You have to go to the corresponding number in the app, and then you interact with the machine. You have the code gates, which is the yellow ones.
Wherein you press the code gate button, and then you enter a 4-digit code to unlock it.
And then there are just gray ones, which are just story or like supposedly not key puzzle things.
Another thing we like about the new unlock system is that they tend to include a solution book.
Yeah, we've seen it first here in this Star Wars one, and it is literally a step-by-step instruction booklet for solving everything. So you're never gonna feel super stuck.
I feel that maybe they've been doing this in other releases that we haven't gotten, or maybe in editions we haven't gotten, because online
there's an official print.
The website does have all of it as a PDF. So I guess they've received enough feedback, or I guess people asking on Board Game Geek, exactly how did that solution work and all that. So they've decided to give the guides.
Oh wait, so overall puzzle design, is still good, I think. And then, but ultimately, there will be always this one puzzle maybe per adventure that is like I can't wrap my brain around it, and you may need the solution. What is also unique about the Star Wars adventures, which is different from all others, is something they call advantage cards. So at the beginning of every story, so you'll read the story synopsis, and it's just as well that it's whited out, and then you get to choose one of 3 of the 6 advantage cards, and all you have to go with is like the name. So for example, for the first mission, which is the Rebel mission, your advantages are advanced warning, inside intel, terrain mapping, expert pilot, droid specialist, and hyperspace expert.
The advantage cards offer an amazing way to dive into the theme more, because as you're choosing, we have those moments of I want to be a pilot, or I want to be a droid mechanic. And if the cards are there, they actually, even if they don't really do anything, they still give you that moment of I'm the droid mechanic and you're that.
Yeah, so and then ultimately what the advantage cards are a hint. It's a hint for a particular puzzle, but you won't know which puzzle gets the hint, which is still good. But it's always very thematic. So then when we got like droid specialist, and then every time we encountered droids in the story. Then we're thinking like, is this it? Is this the time we get to become, we use our droid specialist ability? So it added a nice bit of flavor, almost role play ish.
Mm-mm.
Like, but although it's like no one player, like is you don't assign players advantage cards. It's always you get three as a team and
But it
then
doesn't
figure
stop
it
you
out.
from doing so. If
Yeah.
you're playing with your kids, for example, or with your friends, you might want to distribute the advantage cards, and then therefore that person with that card will be the one to decide whether his card applies that moment, which gives a little sense of sharing the burden or letting your kids feel like they're contributing bigger.
Now, I can't say for sure. Okay, and I'll explain in a bit. But to some degree, I feel like this the Star Wars unlock, feels a little easier than all the other unlock sets we played.
Mhm.
But my caveat is it may also be because it's so thematic that the story is very Star Wars and makes sense. That if you know your Star Wars lore well, then there are certain conclusions that will automatically make sense to you and it helps you solve the puzzles. So
Mhm.
then I'm like, then maybe it's because of that. Maybe it feels easier because we're such Star Wars fans
And we sort of knew what to expect.
and we knew what to expect. So then it helps. Whereas standard unlock games are always wildly different
Mhm.
themes. Like you can have an Alice in Wonderland adventure in the same box as a video game related adventure versus Arabian Nights. So they've really jumped around in themes. But in this one, is it's so focused to Star Wars, it gets you in a particular mindset, and it's quite delightful.
Each box comes with three adventures, and the three adventures typically have different difficulty levels, from 1 to 3 padlocks. One padlock means it's easy, but sometimes we find ourselves stumped by a puzzle that could have been written better. 3 padlocks tends to be very challenging, but we find it to be a nice sweet spot until we get to that puzzle that tried to be smarter than it really should have been.
Yeah, so that's just us like nitpicking on certain puzzles. If this were an exit game, at the end of an exit game, you get to celebrate which puzzle you like the most and
Mhm.
which was the hardest. And I feel like maybe the unlock team could benefit from that sort of feedback. Although it's hard to like differentiate which puzzle is which because they kind of
Mhm.
blend together. Um, on the whole, though, the story writing for the different adventures is pretty good. No, I mistake. It's pretty great. I mean, I really enjoyed the different
Mhm.
adventures, and then I feel like, uh, and which is probably the case when you're dealing with a franchise client. They obviously had to submit their puzzle stories to the
Mhm.
client, to Disney, for review and approval. And so, as a Star Wars fan, all of these adventures super make sense in the context of the Star Wars universe. And
Mhm.
I loved that aspect of the game. And I say this because as much as I love unlock games in general, there are times that the stories get really wonky
Mhm.
or the narrative feels very secondary to the puzzles. I mean, I think the the riverboat one that we did, ooh, that was super frustrating. That
Mhm.
that I didn't quite get. And then even there were ones they tried to push things to a more complex level, like the the Pony Express thing on the train,
Mhm.
where you were trying to solve a subsequent mystery apart from just solving individual puzzles.
Mhm.
But it didn't flow
Yes.
well, and there were starts and stops to the story. So in this one, I will be, I'll go in. Toby can contradict me, but I feel like, yeah, across all three, the stories were pretty good. They
Mhm.
were they were pretty solid.
Beyond having great stories, the games are such a fun way to dive into the Star Wars universe without spoiling it. And God, it's so hard not to spoil it. But you get to experience certain things which are so fun and so memorable. I know I had so much fun with the app at that point, and there were times where you will find yourselves having aha moments that totally work. I guess it's the force guiding you.
Yeah. But and I get that. I mean, um, we generally play a lot of escape rooms because
Mhm.
of the mental challenge and generally like to feel like you're matching wits with the game. In this one, um, which is probably part of its charm, is that you just have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and yes, you're still doing exactly the same thing as any other unlock. You're still solving puzzles, but there are so many times that I know we would like look at each other and smile at the same time after solving a particular puzzle. Like, oh my god, that totally makes sense now. I
Mm.
mean, maybe you didn't get it right away, but when we do get it, of course it is because insert Star Wars fact
Mm.
here, you know.
Yes.
So there's so many moments like that, and the decision to go through three different factions: rebels, smugglers, and imperial, um, was genius
Mm-hmm.
because you get to celebrate these different aspects
Mm.
of the Star Wars universe from a puzzle perspective, and each adventure is very distinct from the
Mm-hmm.
other. That I super like.
I like that this did not have to rely on any of the franchise characters to feel fun,
Oh yes.
and yet it still really much felt like a Star Wars story for each one. Um, you don't even find yourself parang siding with a specific faction more than the other. In the end, you just find yourself enjoying that you felt like you had three new Star Wars stories to explore, but you got to be part of it while exploring them.
Yeah, so I guess in that sense, it feels a lot more like a choose your own adventure book. But then, ta-da! It's still puzzles and stuff, and you really nicely dive into. So it did feel very immersive
Mm-hmm.
in that sense. Um, and then another point, which is like, I mean, to be fair, unlock design has gotten a lot better over time, but the art for these cards is pretty phenomenal. So if you just look at the cover art, you can expect the same level of detail, and it's not reference photos, which is always my worry for a franchise game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of very thematic, nicely done, original art, and I was super here for it. And uh, I also like the fact that because one of the things that's always a part of Unlock is that there are hidden numbers in the cards,
Mm-hmm.
which is typically a very 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 tiny number written in an obscure manner.
Yeah, and that's to help give the feeling of you're trying to run around the room, look for clues in an
Yeah.
escape room.
So we didn't have too much of that.
Mhm.
I feel in this one
they
toned it
have
down.
been toning down from using that
Yeah,
more and
yeah.
more.
But I felt it particular. It still happened a few times, but then it was okay because it still worked because normally the hidden numbers are literally cases where searching
Mm-mm.
things or even searching people. And I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed. Um, and then we after we finished the third mission, we had a brief. I know we had a brief discussion like, what was your favorite mission? And then I think we both agreed the smugglers
Mhm.
was like solid. I mean, to be fair, they're all good. But then the first one,
Well, the first one helps you feel like you were in the movie,
that's true because it
it
is set within it is set
yeah,
within Empire Strikes
and
Back.
then the second one sort of has you, um, you know, play your own story,
Mm.
and then the third one we played was the one where we felt like there's a nice balance.
It was definitely more challenge than story, and that was okay. The first one, if you're a veteran unlock player, definitely felt very let me hold your hand and
Mhm.
welcome to unlock, which it has to be. I
Because it is
understand
the difficulty one
it
puzzle.
is difficulty one, and then for many people, this is probably going to become their gateway into the larger
Yes.
unlock game franchise because you love Star Wars, then you're gonna play a Star Wars game. So it's well done in that sense. But as a like veteran escape room style puzzler,
Mhm.
it can be a little underwhelming, and that's fine. Uh, and then yeah, Smuggler I think was a good balance of story and challenge. Um, the third one definitely upped the challenge element. I know
Mhm.
we were scratching our heads a few times, but on the whole, it's still fun. I guess the other thing also is that it is definitely kid friendly.
Mhm.
I had that sense all throughout that this is definitely an all ages product.
Mhm.
You could feel that the way the story was crafted, it was done such that you won't have challenges explaining the content.
And mind you, not all unlocked games are that way.
Yes.
There are unlocked games that do get quite dark or disturbing in how they approach certain topics. But all in all, they always have at least one or two puzzles that are really, really ingenious, that really force you to think out of the box, and that also slap you back down to reality when you're thinking too much and the answer is staring at you in the face.
Yeah, I mean, just to compare, like I know we're still working through the seventh expansion set.
Mhm.
I always remember it's the seventh because all three mysteries are related to the number 7. That one still had adult moment. That still had like, oh, that was a little dark. So we always have these moments of, oh, that was a dark moment, but never to the point of like, you can't let kids play it.
Mm-mm.
But definitely to PG. This one didn't feel that way. Apart from, I guess, the challenge of violence, which is Star Wars. That there is going to be shooting and things like that. But it still felt charming enough.
Now, in terms of cons, as many have complained, escape room games are not replayable games.
Yes.
You typically know what to do once you've played through them. But if you play as many the way we do, you realize you start forgetting exactly how you solved certain puzzles, which allow you to play them again. We also find joy in actually helping other friends try it.
Moderating the session.
We become moderators, and when we see them hit the same frustration points we do, we throw in a clue which we wish we had without spoiling it, and it still makes it a fun way to do it.
Assuming we remember. I mean, half the time we don't remember. Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's an age thing. I don't know.
And now that there are so many different escape room type of games out there,
Actually, yes.
It's still worth the investment, even if you don't really see yourself playing it again, because for its cost, it's still usually cheaper than an actual escape room, and it allows you to keep stuff, which is a fun keepsake in many ways.
Yeah. So Mitch was asking, the game follows the movie story like Wizard of Oz. There is a Wizard of Oz Unlock. So no, it doesn't specifically
The first
follow.
adventure,
Well, it doesn't follow. It is set during, but it is an original story inserted into the Battle of Hoth in Empire Strikes Back. But I wouldn't say it follows the movie because it's only in that like small fragment.
Yeah.
And then the rest are fairly unique settings.
Yeah.
I mean, there are in known Star Wars worlds, but the story doesn't necessarily directly connect to movie events. So that which kind of works out. And I can read the synopsis on the back because it's rebels escape from the ice planet Hoth, for the smugglers break out of an Imperial Star Destroyer, and the Imperial agents recover kyber crystals from the ancient moon Jeddah. And that sort of gives you a rough idea of the time play set. But they're all original stories. We stress they're pretty good stories. Um, and it's overly a lot of fun. I guess the main con, yeah, it's like this is you can play it once game. You just gotta live with that. So if you aren't entirely happy with that sort of thing, you can still play it, and then when you're done, resell it because Unlock is you can restore it to its starting point. You just have to sort the cards back from 1 to 60. Then anyone else can play it again. So that's one option. Or you moderate sessions and get more plays out of it and watch other people
or
puzzle
gift
through
it to friends
Or gift it.
you think will enjoy it. Another con to consider is, well, for some, it's a con. It requires the app.
Yes.
Unlike other escape room games that allow you to play it as long as you have a browser. So I think that was Escape Tales.
Escape Tales is
that
browser
used a
based.
web browser. So it's whether you're using your mobile phone or your desktop, you can still play it. Unlock requires the app because the machines and the code,
Are
the code
specific,
systems require the app. But at the same time, I feel it's not that much a problem because you then can see how they're making the most of the app.
Yeah.
The app becomes your way of seeing which collections you've had. The app allows you to track the scores you have for each play. So it's not that bad a thing for me compared to other board games wherein you know the franchise isn't moving as much, so you don't know if the app will stay around long enough.
Yeah, I mean the fact that the Unlock people have hit a point where they've gotten a big franchise deal says a lot about the longevity of this company, and I'm sure the app's gonna stay around for a while. So it's the best time to play it while the app is like being fully supported and chicken and egg situation. The more people play it, the more they'll have to maintain the app, the bigger chance of a sequel, and all the things, and they can add more expansions. If you look at the base Unlock app, they have loaded the cases for every single game there, and that it's quite the ecosystem.
Now, while not required, we do recommend that if you ever play unlock games, have scratch paper and pens ready because you might need to write stuff down or you might need to use them to help decipher and decode things. Have a flashlight or a light source ready. It helps to illuminate things, to see things better when they're hidden. Or sometimes you just might need light, and we won't say further beyond that for now.
Or it just helps see we just because we have established that there are hidden numbers. They're
Mhm.
literally small numbers written, and they tend to pop out a bit more sometimes if you reflect it in just the right angle.
So Mitch mentions she likes unlock games. Luckily, she has not played with an alpha gamer, which makes the game not so fun. I think alpha gamers as a whole, and alpha gamers being gamers who basically tell you you're doing it wrong because they know how to do it right, um, spoil any game, whether it's escape games, whether it's competitive or cooperative games. Because you have competitive games where in the alpha gamers like, oh, why'd you do that? That's the wrong thing to do. Uh, there's no clear cure for that other than to just play with someone else. Unless you want to have the patience of trying to talk to them and explain why it's wrong.
Which is fine, you can try, but that's like a full-on gaming intervention. Get the banner ready and like discuss.
Other groups do split the cards apart because when you're playing it unlock, all the cards tend to be jumbled up. Part of the fun slash frustration is when you figure out you're supposed to pull out a card. It might say, for example, grab card 16, 23, 94, and you'll be digging through that deck searching for those numbers. If you want, you can split it among people so everyone's searching. If you want to be more efficient at the risk of spoiling yourself, you can rearrange the card so that then you're looking at it at a numerical order, but that can spoil things because you are looking at things more than you should.
Yeah, yeah. But as far as like the Star Wars set in general, it's like they weren't overly tricky, but there's some trickiness. So, but yeah, just be careful about looking at the cards.
Mm-mm.
But it is funny though because each adventure is always 60 cards, exactly 60 cards. That includes the intro card, which is the starting location, and in this case includes the 6 advantage cards. So 7 cards are already out of the way, but the number will always go as high as 99. And sometimes it includes letters or symbols as some of the card references. So it's kind of funny how that works out. So you're never gonna see just a strictly coherent like numeric progression. You will get a really wild assortment of letters and numbers, and that's fine. It all works out. It's super fun. However you want to play it, just don't turn over the cards. I mean, like play by the rules. Keep the cards face down until you feel you have justified a reason to flip them over. But most of the time you may be right. So go with it.
Okay, just posting for a thumbnail to use later.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So all this manual thumbnailing. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Do you want
to
to highlight?
close. I hope this is the first of more Star Wars
I
unlocks.
do too.
I want them to have more movie related, not movie based, but movie related unlocks. For example, can you imagine a series of unlock adventures based on Rogue One?
Mm.
So it's about that period, um, or a series of unlocks, and it's all about. Oh my gosh! See, my brain suddenly bonked out. The code when all the Jedi were supposed to be.
Order 6.
There you go. I was about to say 69. But
That's
imagine
a different
imagine
order.
it was like a set and it's all themed on that one. And then I would love to see um, I would love to see cameos. I
Yeah.
don't need the main characters to be the main characters.
But it would be nice to see them and feel like you're interacting in the same
Or
universe.
even just a hint of like, you're about to be destroyed and then something drives by and destroys the enemy, and the message is take care. And as you look, you realize, wait, this art, that's the ghost. Stuff like that. Little hints would have been
Mm.
nice.
Okay, Mitch asks, do you need to be a fan to enjoy Star Wars Unlocked? I don't think so, but it does help to have at least seen the movies.
I will say that you won't appreciate it as much
Ah, yes.
if you did not see the stuff, because some of the puzzles have a nod to the stuff if you
Very in
watch the stuff.
universe. But yeah, if you play Star Wars Unlocked without being a fan and without having seen the movies,
Mhm.
then it's going to be like playing any other Unlocked,
Yeah.
which is not bad. Also, this
Yeah, but
the
it will lead to some things which feel stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
for example, to change the reference, if it were a Knights of the Round Table unlock and you've never read a Knights of the Round Table story, then you'll suddenly go, "What? The woman was under the water? Why will I think of doing that?"
yeah.
But then if you knew Arthurian myth, then you'd think, "Oh, Lady in the Lake, maybe we should look in the water." So it's that sort of thing that will disappear if you're not a fan.
There are going to be puzzles that will rely on your knowledge
Mhm.
of the or source material. We've seen that with things like the Wizard of Oz Unlock,
Yes.
the Arabian Nights
Yes.
one. I mean, like
Because that's how you tie it to the franchise.
yeah, and that's how you celebrate the source material. So you can get away with it, but you're probably going to have a harder time, and it won't be as fulfilling as if you've taken the time to dive into the source
And then
material.
lastly, at least to close my side, other than more Star Wars unlock stuff, I want them to get more Disney stuff out, because they've already
that's what I'm
made
saying.
they
You already have a Disney
Yeah.
a Disney logo on the box.
they have a step in now. So Marvel unlock, the Disney different franchises unlock. I mean,
Muppet Unlock.
Muppet
I mean, they're
Unlock.
gonna be super expensive, I'm sure, but
Villainous is doing really well. So I
oh
think
my god,
a
yes.
series
The
of
fact that
Disney based
Villainous,
unlock stuff would be great.
yeah, Villainous has branched out into Marvel comic stuff,
Mhm.
and it's still the same Villainous card system, more or less. I mean, it tells you there's an opportunity, and people are gonna fully embrace it and just go with it. So yeah, I'm with you. I hope that this opens the doors to more Star Wars unlocked stories, but also opens the doors to more Disney property
Mhm.
stories. And we're totally gonna buy them. Don't
I
worry.
mean, I'm even game for the non-animated Disney
Mm,
tie-ins.
mm.
Whether it's some of their live action movies turned into unlocked stories as well.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that happening, and we'll see. I'm sure this is still like an experiment
Mhm.
from in terms of like what's this Space Cowboys who makes this? I forget. Um, but yeah, we'll see how
Yeah,
that
Space
goes.
Gospel.
Okay.
All right, I guess that's it. Any last words for me?
I really enjoyed this. I mean, we tried to pace it out, but then it was definitely like marshmallow test levels up. No,
Mhm.
I want to play the next one because I want to see what they're gonna do with it. And as someone who's read so much Star Wars content, I mean, I watch the movies, I read the comics, I read the books, I play the games. This is right up there. This is like I celebrate this. Then this is more than just like a reskin of an existing board
Mhm.
game. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at you, Star Wars Carcassonne. It's like I don't know if you really added enough to make it distinct. This is
Yes.
super. Uh, so many times a card will open. We figure out the puzzle, and I am just delighted. I am
I
happy.
I want to see a Magic Kingdom unlock.
Like Disney as a whole.
Yes. So the first game is like based on the amusement park itself,
Mm.
but the last game is based on Fantasia.
Okay. Okay. That's a very specific ask. And then, because even when you say that based on the theme park,
Mhm.
that means many things. Because there's Disneyland, there's the Magic
No,
Kingdom,
no, you're
there's
lost.
Epcot.
You're lost in the amusement park. So you're like, you have
I'm just being very
the
specific.
fold out is the map of
Because you
the
gotta
place.
celebrate each property. I mean, California Adventure versus Disneyland versus Paris versus Tokyo Disney Sea.
And if you do,
I'm into this.
and better do it soon, Disney, before Nintendo does it first. I guess that's it. That's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
For questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. You can follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, RJ Suniko.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
And then feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what you think about Star Wars Unlock. Have you had a chance to play it? Would you want to explore the Star Wars universe? Yeah, I saw that too. Apparently, our audio has gone weak. I don't know what's happening, but we're wrapping up. So be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Good night, everyone.